And thanks to my good friends at Midas Touch for partnering with MSW Media and giving me this platform. Now, we all know that Donald Trump sex trafficked girls to Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell through his Mar-a-Lago spa. That's according to the Wall Street Journal. So it stands to reason that Trump also probably trafficked girls to Epstein and Maxwell through his modeling agency and his connections to other CEOs of other modeling agencies. And a few days ago, in the newly released batch of Epstein files, which we're told is the final batch, even though it's missing 3 million documents, in that release, we saw a summary of a report to the FBI tip line from someone who knew a girl trafficked through a Trump modeling agency, someone who herself was also recruited by that friend or attempted to be recruited by that friend. And we became hyper aware of these tip line summaries, these FBI tip line summaries, after the Department of Justice pulled them down from their repository, but not before thousands of document watchers screen capped them, saved them, and circulated them online. Now, oddly, maybe one of the reasons they pulled these down before they put them back up is that none of the corresponding FBI 302s for interviews that undoubtedly resulted from these tips to the tip line, none of those, at least that I've been able to find, were released. Nor will they be. Like I said, Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche has said, this is it. This is all there is. This is all we're releasing. We're holding back stuff pursuant to an open investigation, an active investigation. We'll talk about that in a minute. Well, I have spoken to the person who called in that tip about the Trump modeling agency, and I will tell you what she had to say on today's episode of The Breakdown. I'm Allison Gill, host of the Daily Beans podcast, CEO over at MSW Media. And by now, knowing how plugged in all of you are who watch the Midas Touch Network, you've likely seen these images circulating on social media. Image after image after image. This is a report consisting of summaries of tips about Epstein and Maxwell received by the FBI from the public. Now, these images went viral, as I said, because the Department of Justice removed them from the portal after they'd been released. And document watchers noticed immediately and shared the images they screen capped and moved to a hard drive, probably. And likely, again, because this administration has been known in the past to pull down sensitive Epstein documents, especially ones concerning Donald Trump, who appeared in this dump at least 5,000 times. They've done this. They've removed documents from the portal before once they realized that they had gone up, maybe in error. Now, as I said, these documents were restored to the portal, but not after images of them made their way around the internet on Twitter and Blue Sky, Reddit, Facebook, Threads, Insta, TikTok. They're everywhere. And one of them stood out to me. So let me take you back for a minute to July of last year, 2025, around the time I announced that I was filing a Freedom of Information Act request for Epstein redaction training videos after some exclusive reporting from a source inside the FBI who told me about the existence of these training videos. Now, an anonymous woman reached out to me around that time because she had very specific information about a report she made to the FBI about a friend and her connection to a Trump modeling agency trafficking victims to Epstein and Maxwell, an allegation. Now, she thought that if I had details about what was in her report, what was in her interview with the FBI, I could make a very specific or refined Freedom of Information Act request. I could ask for the report, right? She says, ask for this specific report. Ask for the report with these details. Here's the date that I made the report. And she said to me, and you can see the date here, July 17th, 2025, quote, "Hey, AG, I know Trump is in the FBI files on Epstein because I called and reported. When Epstein first went to jail and the FBI asked for tips, I called. My best friend had been trying to become a Trump model. She would go to New York City and managed to get a photo shoot with a Trump photographer. She said most of the girls were foreign and some barely spoke English, so she felt lucky to get picked as one of the rare Americans there. She was blonde-haired, blue-eyed, buxom, and gorgeous. They told her she was Trump's type. They connected her to a man and a woman who they said could help move her career along faster. That they were all connected. She was invited to boat parties with friends of Trump and the photographer. She was supposed to entertain the wealthy men on board who promised her things. She was also supposed to bring back other hot girls, especially blonde-haired, blue-eyed girls like her. I didn't have blonde hair, but she invited me. I didn't think I could disappear for a weekend like she did, so I never went. But I heard her stories of being offered drugs and performing sex acts. Now, she went on to tell me, quote, Donald was part of it. I hope he gets everything he deserves for what I saw happen to my best friend. We were 14 when she first went to one of his casting parties. I moved before we turned 16. Her life was ruined because of him, and I've been trying to warn people since The Apprentice was airing. I wish him pain and the awareness that he will lose everything and anything associated with him will be destroyed other than the stain in the history books to warn that evil can be wealthy and shiny to those who wish to be deceived. I was not okay watching what was happening when Epstein was first jailed. I am not okay now. I am enraged. I hope justice is just as painful for him as it was for each and every one of his victims. Now, I thanked her for this information, and I said that if my FOIA lawsuit got to a point where I would need specific details for specific documents, I would let her know. Maybe we could get an affidavit or a declaration. So back to those highlighted reports, those viral highlighted reports that traveled around the internet after they were pulled down and then put back up this weekend. There it was. This woman's report. Look, quote, complainant reported her neighbor sought modeling gigs at the Trump modeling agency in New York City between the years of 1998 and 2000. Complainant reported neighbor allegedly went on cruises set up by recruiter or head of the agency and once showed complainant a photo of the recruiter, whom complainant recalled looking like Epstein. Complainant reported neighbor was allegedly raped several times during this time period. Now, if you're wondering why some of these tip line summaries are highlighted and why some of them aren't, like this one, that is revealed in an email attached to this report of tip line summaries that says, quote, see below, yellow highlighting is for the salacious piece of this report. So that's why some of it's highlighted. Now that's this woman's report based on the details she provided to the FBI in 2020 and to me again in 2025. The problem is that the actual FBI interview, the formal interview conducted by the FBI agents with this woman, is not anywhere to be found in the files, which are, according to Todd Blanche, now released in their entirety, at least the entirety that they plan on showing us.